Hello cellists, my name's Evan, and in this video I'll be going over our part for the Vivaldi for camp. Before we get into the music, an important thing I want to touch on is to acknowledge that this is Baroque music. Now what does that mean? Well, an important thing about Baroque music is that the vibrato used in the Baroque period was used very sparingly and only for ornamental purposes. And in most cases was just going to be reserved for the melodic line and also like substantial cadential moments. And the reality of being a cellist playing Baroque music is that we hardly ever have the melody. And so for when you are practicing this music, the Vivaldi specifically, I would encourage you to not use any vibrato at all during your practice. And if during this video I accidentally use some vibrato, forgive me. It's so easy to do. And if when we get to camp, if Dr. Ray wants to add vibrato at certain spots, that's a very easy thing to add once we're there. So for now, please practice without vibrato because there are hardly any spots in this music that might call for it. Second thing to go over is the bow stroke. The characteristic Baroque bow stroke is going to be what a lot of musicians call a smile bow stroke, where you've got a small amount of weight at the beginning of your bow stroke, add weight as you play through the bow, and then ease off at the end. And that's going to sound like this. Why don't you go ahead and try that? Feel free to pause the video at any time and then keep going. The key there is we're going for an edgeless sound, very smooth bow transitions that allow the instrument to ring as much as possible. Now, be careful. One trap that's really easy to fall into with this kind of bow stroke is to use a bouncing bow to facilitate this kind of thing. And while that can seem really fun and musical, for this kind of music, that's actually not the sound we're going to be going for. So make sure that we are always starting the bow from the string, just with very light weight. Now, with this kind of stroke, the bow is naturally going to have a little bit of lift to it. And it is okay if it does come off the string a little bit. That really is no issue. But what we don't want to do is to be bouncing the bow on purpose. So a little bit of lift is okay. That is musical. Just don't use bouncing as your means of this kind of stroke. Always from the string. So that's right in the beginning there. And notice how on those down bows, the down bow quarter note, quarter rest, quarter note, I am lifting the bow off in between the notes during the rest, but I'm always making it back to the string for the next note. Always starting from the string. Oh. Always from the string. Now then, our part is not as technically complex as the violin lines, but we still got some tricky stuff here. And specifically, with the fingering that I've written in, I've prioritized staying in one position instead of shifting. But the other side of that is that we've got double string crossings going from at the beginning there, your low B on the G string and the high B on the A string. You got that double string crossing, and we have that double string crossings several times in this piece. And that makes it hard to have these seamless transitions of sound. But something that we can do to help ourselves out is tunneling. If this is a new term for you, what I mean by that is when you're fingering on the with your left hand here, I'm fingering the low note and the high note at the same time, and I'm making sure to curl my pinky, which is holding down the low B, way over, so that it's not going to be touching any of the other strings. So I can be fingering the low B and the high B at the same time. Notice I'm not having to move my left hand at all, and so that just eliminates just some of the trickiness of making these double string crossings happen. They're still tricky with the bow, but this way we can have our left hand taken care of and just worry about making this happen with the bow, because it's much easier than having to do this and this with the double string crossings at the same time. And it's harder to make it clean. So practice having that tunneling. Make sure that both B's are in tune, because then you only have to really move on the 4-4. Or you can flat finger that too. Yeah. So set yourself up for success. Tunneling, it's good. Now then, let's see here. Just moving through the music. I'm not going to go over the solo sections because I'll be playing those, so we're not going to go over those in the video. Oh yes, double ups. Go ahead and take a look at measure 37. There we've got a marked double up bow. So that is going to be primarily a wrist motion for those up bows. So try this with me. Set your bow on the string. Still very lightweight. We still want this edgeless sound. But see how much you can get your instrument to ring with a no edge to the sound and only with the wrist. That's the kind of sound that we're going for. So notice how I'm hardly moving my arm at all once I get to the double ups. That's what we're going for. Let's see, moving on. A lot of our entrances are up bows because we're off the beat. That's pretty much going to be the standard, is anytime we've got an entrance off the beat, we've got an up bow entrance, so just keep that in mind. And the last thing that I want to go over is another thing that is kind of specific to Baroque music, and that is that Baroque music is a very improvisational kind of style. Now, we're going to be playing this music with an orchestra, and so we can't be making up stuff, but what we can take from that is actually this is an idea that was brought to me that I found at a master class with a visiting Baroque cellist at Western, where I'm going to school. And we often in Baroque music will have these lines with a lot of repeated notes that seem very simple. Go ahead and take a look at measure 54, for example. It's not very exciting on the surface, and I played some music with the visiting cellist, and I had with similar music to this, and he challenged me to try and treat each note as its own thing, have each note be unique, and it totally changed how I was thinking about this kind of music. And what this means in an orchestral setting, the key is going to be to listen to the other sections and see how we can fit our relatively simple bass line to follow their lead with the music. If they also have that kind of that smile shape, how can we shape our line the same way? Because you'll notice we hardly have any dynamic markings at all in this music, and so a lot of where the charm of this kind of music can come from is in the individual musicians listening to the group and seeing how they can make their sound fit with the others. So anytime you have a part in this music that seems pretty simple, like there at 54, I'm going to challenge you just to listen to the group and see how you can shape your part to really support what the others are doing. Now, this is something that's going to make much more sense once you're actually playing with the group, but I just wanted to bring it up so you can be thinking about it ahead of time. And that's about all I have for this piece. So happy practicing, and I look forward to hearing your recordings of this with a metronome by July 7th, I believe. Make sure that, or excuse me, and yeah, make sure that the metronome is audible in the recording, and you can do this as a recording, either as an audio recording only or as a video. Either is fine, but of course, video is preferred if you are able. Yeah, feel free to reach out with any questions you have about this music. My email or my contact info is on the Olympic String Workshop website. And yeah, good luck.